Well, one of the big takeaways at the G20 meet, which has just concluded, is the Global Biofuels Alliance. What exactly are the implications of this? How is this something that can actually benefit billions around the world? Joining us now, a very special guest, Mr. Hardeep Puri, the Minister. Thanks very much for joining us. Bear with me, sir. I'll ask you a couple of basic questions because people need to really understand what we are talking about. What is a biofuel?
Let me give you an understanding which I developed on biofuels. I was posted to Brazil, a country which is widely regarded as a pioneer nation in biofuels. And the Brazilians, have one great advantage. They have 3 times our land area, 1/6 our population, and 22% of the world's freshwater reserves. So the Brazilians produced ethanol from sugarcane, and they became global leaders. The Brazilians produce sugar cane ethanol, and when I went to Brazil in 2006, I found that on a normal day you could go to a petrol pump driving a flexi fuel car, and dependent on the price of petrol or ethanol on that day, you could adjust your car's computer to buying more of one or the other. Brazilian universities did research on Jatropha, other biofuels. I was posted in the United States. They make ethanol from maize. And there was a trade issue because I think at some stage the Americans would have thought that a lot of Brazilian ethanol could come there. So if I remember correctly, the import duty was 54 cents a barrel on import of this thing. India's journey on biofuels didn't start today. It's actually, in all fairness, we attempted to do it many years earlier. When I was ambassador to Brazil in 2006, the then agriculture minister, Mr. Sharad Pawar, had gone to Brazil. The Manmohan Singh government decided to have a 5% blending policy in 10 of our states and union territories, but we ended 2014, Vishnu, just with 1.5% of biofuel blending.
Right.
In 1.5% meant we could produce or procure. No, we produced more ethanol, but it went into alcohol. Right. It went into other uses. 38 crores for mixing as a transportation fuel. Right. Prime Minister set himself according to him, a very realistic and modest target. And in the next 8 years, another 10%. We had a target of 10% blending by November of 22. And now is the good story. We were able to achieve that 10% target 5 months before the target date. When we saw that we had gone up from 38 crore liters, by the way, we did a calculation. In order to do 20% blending, we needed 1,000 crore liters of alcohol. Right. We were already well on our way to getting 10%. We revised the target. Don't wait till 2030. Let's do it by 2025. Brought it 5 years in. Right. Today we are procuring 566 crore liters already of ethanol from different feed. We are making it from sugar largely, increasingly now, starting now from maize, from agricultural waste, parali. A second generation, we have 5 plants, from bamboo, from broken food grain, whatever. But the good news is that that 20% figure which we had, which was a mindset problem, dictated by 2 considerations. One is that the automobile manufacturers told us that if you have 20% blending, you don't need to change the parts or the engine of the car, which was self-serving advice, but well taken.
How do you respond to those who say that the moment you get into various blends, the efficiency of engines come down?
I'm coming precisely to that. They said that the efficiency would come down, and therefore, that engine can't take it. So what is it? You get flexi fuel engine. Now, what happens is, biofuels are being used in flexi fuel engines all over the world by the same manufacturer. So it stands to reason if a Japanese manufacturer of a flexi fuel engine can sell a highly successful car which does not have any acceleration problems in Brazil, he or she should be able to do it in India. Same for a German. Few days ago we unveiled a car. I think it's a Toyota model, an Innova High Cross, which has a dual use, electric and ethanol. Right. Now, what happens is up to 40 kilometers an hour, if you drive it, it will work on the electric this thing. After, if you accelerate over 40 kilometers, it starts using the ethanol, but whilst it's using the ethanol, it's charging the battery. So these technological branches have taken place. By the way, since you are doing such a in-depth discussion, there were also people who said, don't go for biofuels, it will threaten your food security. Wait a minute. Today you proved that in 9 years, we saved 73,000 crores on the import bill, but you were able to pay your farmers 76,000 crores. Today, the Indian ground level agro and fuel economics has proved that a transition into deeper use of biofuels is also good for our agriculture.
Okay. Is this a stepping stone towards the ultimate goal of moving to all electric?
I would answer that question very carefully. All electric, if the grid is not fully green, would be grey.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to put it this way. Biofuels is the most effective instrument, by which I mean ethanol, biogas, etc., most effective instrument for the transitioning to net zero.
Correct.
But it also will be overtaken by the time when green hydrogen will come. Your automobile manufacturer, I already have one of my major companies which is now wanting me to unveil a fuel cell, a hydrogen fuel bus for
So how many years would this be effective? Before the industrial base exists for green hydrogen in India?
All right. I'm going to answer that question very cautiously. If you get 20% hydrogen, 20% biofuel blending
yes.
by 2025, on which I can make a reasonable assumption,
yes.
we'll get it done. Between 2025 and 2030, you will see the pace being quantified. Because we are planning to do what, 5 million metric, 5 million tons of green hydrogen by 2025, I think is grossly conservative, inadequate. You'll do much more than that. If by 2025 and 2030, I move up the biofuel usage and in comes green hydrogen, I think between 2030 and 2040, you will see fossil fuels fading away and green hydrogen slowly but surely coming in.
But depends on price.
No, price
That's the big problem with green hydrogen.
No, price will be viable in India. Why? Vishnu, the gas does not lend itself to transportation. So Indian companies are also already selling green hydrogen, green ammonia to Unipa in Germany. They've already contracted to sell green ammonia to the Singapore Electricity Authority, which are getting new GE plants, etc. I've signed an MOU.
Right.
And so what do you require? What do you require? You require demand in a place, you require the production capacity in a place, and you require consumption in that place itself. Because you can't transport the gas. So if anybody argues with me that you can produce green hydrogen in a desert but 10,000 kilometers away, no, it will not be cost effective.
So it has to be developed in various centers.
So today, my first meeting 2 years ago, I'm 2 years, 2 months into this ministry, was with the US Secretary for Energy, Jennifer Greenhalgh. I was very touched by a tweet she did. In that tweet she said, we are very happy that the Global Biofuels Alliance has been inaugurated. This is based on a deal done between Brazil, US and India at the Goa meeting in July. She talked about 111. What is 111? 1 kilo for $1 for 10 years.
Okay.
Now the price will come down. What do you need for green hydrogen? For green hydrogen you need massive amount of local green power. We have demonstrated that you can bring down the cost per unit of solar, but more than that, see what your entrepreneurs are doing. There's one company, I won't name them because it will be a commercial advertisement otherwise. They've got plants all over the coastline in India. Right. Each one 3,500 acres. What do they do there, Vishnu? They take the water up to a height of 2,500 feet and just drop the water. You need that green energy and you need an electrolyzer. I can tell you with confidence that it's large countries like India, Brazil, China, United States, where every electrolyzer manufacturer will go. Why will he go there? Because the consumption is going to take place there. Okay. So Where are we? If I have to answer your question, honestly, I don't know whether we are at $2 or $2 plus, but I think the price will start coming down.
It has to.
It has to.
Because demand will rise. Sustainable aviation turbine fuel. How much is it going to save us? Number one. And number two, where in India do we stand with this? I know trials have happened.
Vishnu, let me first give you the global facts. There is a US company, Honeywell. They've already run a plane on 100% ethanol, biofuel. They've run it. I know the CMD very well. He used to be the India in charge, a very good friend of mine. He's now the global in charge. We've had many discussions. But I'll give you the hard facts as I know them. We ran a trial on the basis of which one of our oil companies with AirAsia. They operated a flight from Pune to Delhi. And that flight from Pune to Delhi was on the basis of 1% sustainable aviation fuel. We calculated that if we were to make 1% sustainable aviation fuel mandatory for this thing, that is all aviation turbine fuel has 1% blending, it would become SAF. Okay?
Right.
We would need 14 crore liters. That would directly benefit 500,000, 5 lakh of our farmers. If we mandate instead of 1%, if we mandate 5%, we will require 70 crore liters.
And so the benefit for farmers would be massive.
You know, if 1%, 5 lakhs are benefiting, I know the same guys will do it or they will, more will do it. Look, in one thing we've been able to do, which is not known in the public, in India, like in Brazil of course is because God has been kind to them. You know, they have freshwater reserves, they have land, 1/6 the population. But in India also, movement for biofuels will end up helping your agriculture sector. If you're worried about food security, we are already diversifying the feed. We've just brought in much more of maize. We just did some price from about 0, it's gone to 1.7%. Agricultural waste, 5 plants, third generation plants will have gas, but more than that, you know, you are also utilizing the food part, broken grain, etc., which otherwise will not be used for consumption. That is the issue.
One final question, just coming back to the International Biofuel Alliance. What do you intend to do with this? How is it going to grow?
Well,
are you going to be sharing fuel with other countries, getting biofuel, or is it just institutional right now?
I don't want it to be personally. Who am I? My idea is not to make it a rigid intergovernmental organization where people are spelling. I want people who are actually involved in the biofuel business. Unica of Brazil, Grain Council of America, my people, my industrialists, all those guys who deal with biofuel, to sit down and brainstorm. We will do it virtually to begin with, and I am 100%...
So what is the goal?
Whose goal?
The goal of the alliance.
The goal of the alliance is to give a major impetus to biofuels per se, to deal with issues of definition, standard setting, technical specification, all that in a real-time mission mode.
Right. By which time period?
Well, I think we'll get started. I was only waiting for that, the Honorable Prime Minister and President Biden, Lula, all the consuming countries standing there to so that once that picture is gone about, see the impact. The fact that a premier channel is interviewing me on biofuels means somewhere it has resonated.
It has to resonate, otherwise we are in deep trouble in this country. Thank you, Minister Puri, very much for being with us. So this really is, I would suggest, a stepping stone, but it's an important stepping stone as we try and meet our climate change goals, bring down carbon emissions, and also be realistic about how farmers and other groups in the country can actually earn and benefit from a transition to other blended fuels.